Baby, I love you more than I can put into words or more than any song I could ever write.
If Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth can't make it work, what hope is there for the rest of us? Okay, so maybe they're not the best example, but there are plenty of happy, long-lasting, and inspiring Hollywood relationships out there. Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher. Mila Kunis met her future husband Ashton Kutcher when they worked together on the set of That 70s Show. Because they played a couple on the show, Ashton was actually Mila's first kiss.
Please stop touching each other.
Of course, they had to wait a little while longer to date in real life, but ever since they got together, they've been total couple goals.
Moment that you hear or see movies where like your heart skips a beat, and it happened with Ashton's.
These two not only have an adorable family, but they love laughing off all the pesky divorce rumors together.
It's over between us.
It's over between us?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what are we gonna do?
Ashton and Mila are a pretty private couple, but there's no way they could possibly hide the love they have for one another. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Disney movies tried to teach us that love at first sight is a real thing, but we know it doesn't always work out that way. Just ask Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, who started out as strictly platonic pals. They were such good friends that they even went out on a double date together. Apparently, it was quite awkward for their respective dates since there were undeniable fireworks between the newly single Ryan and Blake. They soon realized they had something special and were able to use their close friendship as a basis for a happy marriage. Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. Not only does John Krasinski love his wife Emily Blunt, but he's also a huge fan of her work. When they first started dating, she very nearly caught him watching The Devil Wears Prada, but John quickly changed the channel just in time. Honestly, that's a pretty Jim Halpert move right there. So many Hollywood couples cite distance and busy schedules as their reasons for breaking up, but not these two.
I am gonna share this completely with my husband, John Krasinski.
When John was working on Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan and Emily was working on Mary Poppins, he flew from Montreal to London every single weekend to be with his family. Ugh, and here we are waiting for a text back. Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard. You can count Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard among the happily married stars who got off on, well, maybe not the wrong foot, but definitely a weird one. Dax asked Kristen for a piece of gum, and she explained she only had the piece she was chewing on. So Dax did the reasonable thing and ripped the piece in half and started chewing. It may be a little gross, but it sent a crystal clear signal of his interest, and Kristen was receptive. Hey, sharing is caring. Dax has said he was skeptical of marriage, but when he realized he would never find someone else like Kristen, he knew he was ready to take the leap. Jessica Biel and Justin Timberlake.
Jessica, she's not from here, but she built like she is.
Jessica Biel and Justin Timberlake are two partners and parents who choose to make their relationship their biggest priority. Of course, Justin has always found Jessica beautiful, but what made him fall in love with her was how she appreciates his dry sense of humor. After so many years together, Justin still thinks she's gorgeous, and even commented that he prefers her without makeup on. Chris Hemsworth and Elsa Pataky. Many adults have lived to regret their tattoos, let alone people who got inked as teens. It could have ended badly when Elsa Pataky got a small tattoo of a Thor symbol at age 15, but considering she grew up and married the literal god of thunder himself, we think it turned out okay. And speaking of rushing into things, she and Chris Hemsworth got married after only dating for 3 months. But Chris and Emily are still happily together years later and say their shared love of adventure is the secret to their lasting union. John Legend and Chrissy Teigen. Chrissy Teigen is not only one of the funniest people on social media, but she has a totally enviable relationship with her husband, John Legend. But as smitten as they are with one another now, it wasn't always this way. In fact, John admits he had his guard up when they met, and it took years until he could see himself marrying Chrissy. She was willing to give him the space he needed to feel comfortable in their relationship, and neither were in a rush to get to the altar. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. No relationship is perfect, no matter how much it might seem that way to us. While most Hollywood couples try to keep their problems private, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith have been refreshingly open about the difficulties they've faced in their marriage.
People in the public eye have perfect relationships. We were kind of sick of living up to that.
It turns out they got tired of trying to maintain the image of perfection and decided to share their struggles. But the mark of a good relationship isn't not having problems, it's being able to face them together, and that's definitely something Will and Jada have proven themselves capable of. David and Victoria Beckham. David and Victoria Beckham have been together for so long that it's hard to remember a time when Victoria was just posh spice living the single life. They started dating in 1997, and despite the overwhelming media attention, their relationship continued to flourish. Posh and Bex have incredible careers, amazing kids, and an obvious amount of love for one another. Barack and Michelle Obama. It might surprise you to know that the seemingly endless support of Michelle Obama was less than enthusiastic about her husband running for president, at first. She was worried about the impact it would have on their family, but gave her blessing with one condition: Barack had to quit smoking. Now that they've moved on from the White House, Michelle says all the highs and lows have definitely been worth it. She also advocates for finding your equal instead of someone who tries to drag you down. William H. Macy and Felicity Huffman. Some couples have strategies for keeping their union strong, but William H. Macy thinks he just got incredibly lucky when he met Felicity Huffman. The couple claims they've grown and evolved with one another over the years, and their love is based on a mutual understanding and a deep appreciation for one another. Not only do they love to have fun together, but they even help each other read scripts and practice their lines.
Marry her, it's a piece of cake. Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. and Susan Levin. Before he won our hearts with his portrayal of Tony Stark in Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. was going through an incredibly tough time in his personal life. After spending time in both prison and rehab, he was at an incredibly low point in his life when he met Susan Levin. They met on the set of Gothica, and at first, Susan thought her now husband was downright strange. At first, they seemed like total opposites, a troubled actor and a USC honors grad. Although they soon fell for each other, Susan had an ultimatum. Robert had to stay clean or she was out. Well, years later, they're still together and say they both inspire each other to be their best selves. Meryl Streep and Don Gummer. Meryl Streep is an actress with no shortage of professional accomplishments, but let's not ignore her personal ones too. She's been married to her husband Don Gummer for over 4 decades, and that's something to be proud of, especially in Hollywood. Dan is a sculptor who keeps a low profile, but it's not uncommon to see him accompanying his wife to one of her many award shows and wholeheartedly celebrating her success. Pierce Brosnan and Keely Shaye Smith. When Pierce Brosnan lost his first wife Cassandra Harris, he thought he would never find love again. But all that changed when he met Keely Shaye Smith and was immediately captivated. The couple stayed up until 3 in the morning talking and quickly became inseparable. Pierce says he felt like time stopped when he first met Keely, and he can't believe he was lucky enough to find someone to spend the rest of his life with. Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew Broderick. Sarah Jessica Parker might be on a show called Divorce, but don't worry, her marriage to Matthew Broderick is still going strong. Like all Hollywood couples, they've had to deal with their fair share of divorce rumors, but SJP thinks the tabloids should try honoring their long and happy marriage instead.
What do you think the magical key is for you guys?
I think just not talking about your marriage.
Their love even survived them working together during the Broadway revival of How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. Although they worried too much time together might be a bad thing, they found the play helped bring them closer together than ever before. Hugh Jackman and DEBORA-LEE Furness. Hugh Jackman is a confident man, and he's never doubted that DEBORA-LEE Furness is the one for him. He says that he knew his wife was the one a mere 2 weeks after they met. When you know, apparently. So what's it like meeting the right person? Hugh claims it was a relief to feel like he could finally be himself around someone. While this couple doesn't mind dressing up for award shows, they're at their happiest when they can just be comfortable together. Rita Wilson and Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks says it was also love at first sight when he met his wife Rita Wilson, but there was just one problem. He was already married. Even though he was married on paper, Tom says his relationship with Samantha Lewis had deteriorated due to his immaturity and insecurity. Although Tom and Rita first met in 1981, they didn't get together until years later when Tom was separated from Samantha in 1986. So what made things different this time around? Tom says he was much more mature and realized that Rita was someone he could truly be himself with. Well, clearly they're doing something right since they've been married over 3 decades. Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, so we probably don't even need to explain why Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas are perfect together. Sophie may have been on the hit show Game of Thrones, but there were times when playing Sansa Stark caused her some serious mental health issues in her real life. She says Joe has always been there for her through her darkest times, and she can't wait to spend the rest of her life with him. To show his support, Joe's even been spotted rocking a jacket with an image of Sansa on it. Julia Roberts and Daniel Moder. Julia Roberts describes the moment she met her husband Daniel Moder as a seismic shift. According to this legendary actress, she knew her life was never going to be the same again the day she met Daniel. Being married for over a decade may sound daunting, but Julia says as the years go by, their bond only becomes deeper and more complex. Neil Patrick Harris and David Burtka.
Hi, I'm Neil Patrick Harris, and this is my better half, David Burtka.
I am better.
Looking at this gorgeous couple, you might think they met at a swanky Hollywood party, but the reality is that Neil Patrick Harris and David Burtka met while strolling down the street in New York City. Excuse us while we go out for a quick walk.
Our lives are like a Bollywood musical.
Because it's an eternal tragedy that we were in love.
Neil and David didn't start dating right away, but once they did, they were smitten with each other. The early days of their relationship were filled with constant calls and texts, and now the happily married pair live together in Upper Manhattan with their 2 children. Which of these couples do you find the most inspiring, or is there another heartwarming couple we missed? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section and then click on the subscribe button for the latest videos from us here at The Taco. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.